The Mishnah had said that in the 6th chapter, 2nd Mishnah, that regarding the tablets, the 10 commandments, that the 10 commandments were etched onto the tablets, which made of stone, and the word charus, which means etched, engraved, without the vowels, can be read cherus, meaning free man. That who's considered truly free? The one who engages in Torah study. Okay, we discussed this at length yesterday. Then it continues. Shekol misha osik batorah harizim isaleh. Do you have it, Larry? The person who engages in Torah study, he becomes elevated. He becomes exalted. You know, what's the difference between an animal that's a year old or 2 years old? The difference is 1 year. It's the same animal. That's the difference. Well, qualitatively, it has more flesh on its bones. Its bone structure is larger because it's grown. But that's not elevated. When we speak about elevation, one who engages in Torah study, Harezim Misaleh, he's elevated. He becomes exalted. You know, it's interesting. We find, Talmud tells us that very interesting dictum. It's not the location that honors a person, but it's the person who honors his location. What does this mean? We find by Sinai that when the divine presence descended on Sinai to give the Torah to the Jewish people, the Jews were not permitted to touch the mountain. And if you touch the mountain, the liability was death penalty. Once the divine presence ascended from the mountain, Har Sinai, Mount Sinai, was an ordinary piece of rock. You could approach the mountain. But if there's something innately special about Mount Sinai, whether God's presence there or not, you shouldn't touch it. The answer is, the mountain is not special. There's nothing innately special to the mountain. It's who's at the mountain. So it's the presence of the entity or the person which gives value to the location. It's not the location that gives value to the person. Meaning, person has an office, fixed up a $5 million office, says on the door, chairman of the board. The chair itself costs $50,000. It has a massage in it, it has a heater, and it moves, it even walks sometimes. Okay? And you press a button, the robot brings you, brewed coffee. This guy, he's on top of the mountain. He's sitting there wearing a Brioni suit, Brioni tie, shoes, which cost about $3,000, wearing a pinky ring, has his hair, he has this Hermes silk scarf in his vest pocket. You look at him, this guy looks like he really is a mover and a shaker. You start talking to him, you realize the guy's illiterate. The guy can't say one intelligible word. He asks him to sign a signature, he puts an X. What's going on over there? Looking at you in this location, I thought, who knows who you are? You go to another person, you're introduced, he's in the back room, he has a cigar box that he keeps his money in. And he has a bill roll that he has in a paper clip. This guy looks like he just got off the boat. And it's in a rubber band. He's wearing army socks that he picked up and used in an Army Navy store. Yeah? And you start talking to this person. All of a sudden you realize this person is qualified to run General Motors and many other corporations. But you look like a zero. It's not, the whole setting. A person like you should be in an office which displays who you are. You want to know something? It's who I am. It's not where I am. The person gives value to his location. The location doesn't give value to the person. There's a story I once heard many years ago from David Tessel. David Tessel, South African, came from Johannesburg. He became my student 41 years ago. And he all these people that went to war, all of them, when they came to the United States. And he told me in South Africa, the majority of the Jews are Lithuanian Jews. They came from Lithuania. And they all succeeded tremendously. They came in the 20s and they became very wealthy. They were all very traditional, not observant. And the people who worked for them were all these South African Gentiles. They wore the Brooks Brothers shirts and pants and, real with the suspenders. They looked the role, but they were all Gentiles. And the one who owned the company's name was Mr. Schwartz. And Mr. Schwartz was what they call a Yidel. He was about 5 feet tall. He had a hook nose. He had all the Jewish caricatures, all his features. And they left a seat at the head of the table for him. He's the chairman of the board. He owns the company. So they speak with their sophisticated South African accents. And they say, with their accent, Mr. Schwartz, we left you the head of the table because you're the chairman of the board. So he responds, he says, young men, I want to tell you something. Wherever I sit, that's the head of the table because I own the company. You got it? It's not where I sit, it's who I am. Lahavdin. It's not the location which gives value to the person, it's the person who's valued to the location. What elevates a person? What causes a person to be exalted? It's not the trappings. A person who engages in Torah study, he becomes elevated. He's an elevated person. He's not an ordinary person. He takes another dimension of value. He's just not a mere mortal. The Gemara tells something interesting. We find the Torah tells us that the 4 rivers that flow out of the Garden of Eden, and the Torah identifies these 4 rivers. The Euphrates is one of the rivers that flow out of the Garden of Eden. And the Euphrates in the Torah is referred to as Hanor HaGadol Nar Pras, the great river, the Euphrates River. So the Talmud asks, but the Euphrates is not the greatest of the 4 rivers. It's the second of the greatest. So why is the Euphrates referred to as Hanar HaGadol Nar Pras, the great Euphrates? Why is it referred as the great Euphrates? So the Talmud answers that because the Euphrates flows by Eretz Yisrael, which is the most important location in the world, because that's God's location, the most spiritual location. So because it flows by Eretz Yisrael, although in itself it's not the greatest, but because of its association with the Eretz Yisrael, which is the greatest, therefore it's considered the greatest of the rivers. Although in physical reality, it's not the greatest. So he says, what is it analogous to? You have a country, and the king appoints an ambassador, and this king is the mightiest king in the world. This ambassador may be a 0, but if he's representing the king, he has clout which nobody else has clout, because he's an extension of the power of the king. You have another person, he's very qualified, endlessly more qualified than this other ambassador, but he represents a 2x0, a banana republic. It's, who do you represent? Because the Nar HaGadol Nar Pras, the Euphrates flows by Eretz Yisrael, and Eretz Yisrael is the ultimate, and Hashem allows that river to be associated with Eretz Yisrael, with the Holy Land, therefore it's the ultimate. Kol Misha Osei B'Talmud Torah, Harehu Misaleh. The one who engages in Torah study, he's elevated. You become an elevated person. Because if you allow yourself to partake of that, you become a different person. You're elevated. You have a relationship with something which is the ultimate. The Torah is the infinite. The Torah is God's wisdom. The Torah is the catalyst to God. You connect to God through that. So when you engage in that, who do you become? You become a supernatural being. You become a different reality. It's not something you do, it's something that you become. This is my understanding. Give you an example. The Rambam writes, it's based on a mission in this chapter. There were 3 crowns that were given to the Jewish people. 3 crowns. The crown of priesthood, the crown of kingship, and the crown of Torah. This is very important. The crown of priesthood, who was it given to? Aaron and his sons. The crown of kingship, who was that given to? The David Lazaro, to King David and his progeny. That's the royalty of Jewish people. The crown of Torah, who is that given to? It's lying in a corner, and it belongs to every single Jew. And every Jew is able to wear that crown. Why? It's based on the verse in the Torah. Torah Tzivulanu Moshe, Morosho Kilas Yaakov. The Torah is given to us through Moshe, and the Torah is the heritage of the Jewish people. Therefore, every Jew has relevance to wear that crown. So I ask the question: if a person's not a Kohen, not a priest, and he puts on the vestments, does that make him into a priest? If a person doesn't come from royalty, he's not from the Davidic line, and he puts a crown on his head, does the crown make him into royalty? He's not royalty. So if that's the case, before you study Torah, you're an ordinary guy. So how by now, when you study Torah, all of a sudden you're wearing the crown of Torah? Before, you're totally devoid of any knowledge. Now that you study, now you become royalty. What happened? What's the crown of Torah? You know what the answer is? Because when you study Torah, before you begin studying Torah, you're a mere mortal. The moment you engage in Torah at this very special level, there's a metamorphosis. You become infused with a spirituality which has relevance to the infinite. You have relevance to the infinite status. Once you become part of that, automatically you're elevated. You become a different being. Your significance in the world becomes a different significance. You play a different role because God sees you in a different role because you're elevated. Because now you're connected to him in a way which nobody else is connected to. It's not you get a position. You get a position at IBM or at Google, any of these places, and you make a $50 million salary. You're making money. The next day, they could terminate you. Once you partake of Torah and it becomes ingrained, it becomes internalized in your being, you become a different being. It's not something without you doing, it's something that you become. We're saying the blessings of Kriya Shema at night. We call Birchas Kriya Shema. We say, Kehem Chayenu v'Orachim. The Torah is our life and the length of our days. Now, life. Do you live life or do you do life? Kehem Chayenu v'Orachim. The Torah is our life. That is the life throb of every Jew, the Torah itself. When a non-Jew studies Torah, it has no relevance to him. Has no relevance to his soul, has no relevance to his life. Therefore, it doesn't affect him. But the Jew, who that was the catalyst, that's the connected to God, that is Chayenu. That is our life. We live it. You breathe it, and you're supposed to live it. And you're supposed to engage in it continuously.